The Arctic is melting, and now the world wants a piece of Canada. For centuries, this frozen expanse was seen as a remote and desolate wasteland. Only a handful of hardy souls braved its unforgiving conditions. Now climate change is melting the Arctic ice cap at an alarming rate. This is opening up new shipping lanes and revealing vast, untapped resources. Suddenly, the Arctic is no longer a frozen wasteland. It's a potential gold mine. Countries around the world are scrambling to stake their claim. This includes superpowers like Russia, China, and the United States. But at the heart of this new Arctic rush lies a critical question. Is Canada ready to defend its north? Canada has long claimed sovereignty over a vast swath of the Arctic, but with increased international attention and activity, defending this claim is becoming increasingly complex. This isn't just about protecting territory, it's about safeguarding Canada's resources, environment, and national identity. The future of the Arctic is uncertain, but one thing is clear: the fight for the Arctic is heating up, and Canada must be prepared to stand its ground. What does Arctic sovereignty mean? In simple terms, it's about control. It's about who governs the land, who controls the sea routes, and who profits from the resources. For Canada, Arctic sovereignty is about more than just lines on a map. It's about protecting a vital part of the country's heritage and future. Canada claims sovereignty over a vast Arctic region that includes land, islands, and the ice-covered waters of the Northwest Passage. This claim is based on a combination of historical exploration, indigenous presence, and geographic proximity. However, this claim is not without its challengers. The United States, for example, views the Northwest Passage as international waters. This disagreement has the potential to escalate tensions as shipping traffic increases. Russia, another major Arctic player, has been aggressively asserting its own Arctic claims. It has expanded its military presence in the region, raising concerns about a potential Arctic arms race. The Arctic is rapidly becoming a focal point for global competition. Canada must navigate these complex geopolitical currents to secure its sovereignty. This requires a multifaceted approach that combines diplomacy, military preparedness, and economic development. Why is the Arctic suddenly so important? The answer lies in the melting ice. As the Arctic ice cap shrinks, new shipping lanes are opening up. This has the potential to revolutionize global trade. Imagine goods flowing directly across the Arctic Ocean, cutting weeks off traditional shipping routes. This is the promise and the peril of the new Arctic. Beneath the melting ice lies another treasure trove: vast reserves of oil, natural gas, and minerals. These resources are becoming increasingly accessible as the ice recedes. This has sparked a modern-day gold rush, with nations and corporations vying for a piece of the Arctic pie. The Arctic's strategic importance is also growing. As the ice melts, the region is becoming more accessible to military vessels and aircraft. This has led to increased military activity, particularly from Russia and NATO countries. The Arctic is no longer a remote and isolated region. It's becoming a potential flashpoint in a new era of global power competition. The stakes in the Arctic are high. Control of these new shipping routes, resources, and strategic locations could have significant geopolitical and economic implications for decades to come. The Arctic is no longer the exclusive domain of polar bears and Inuit hunters. It's a crowded stage with powerful characters, each with their own ambitions. Understanding these players is crucial to the Arctic's dynamics. Canada is a central player with the longest Arctic coastline. However, its power projection is limited by a small military and infrastructure. The U.S. Navy has a growing interest in the Arctic. Russia has increased its military presence and reopened Soviet-era bases. China, a near-Arctic state, invests heavily in research and infrastructure. These players' interests often clash, creating a volatile geopolitical landscape. The Northwest Passage dispute. The Northwest Passage, a sea route through the Canadian Arctic archipelago, is a case study in Arctic sovereignty. Canada claims the passage as part of its internal waters. The United States and others argue it's an international strait. This dispute has simmered for decades. As the Arctic warms, the stakes are rising. The economic and strategic implications are significant. Canada bases its claim on historical exploration and indigenous use. It also cites environmental sensitivity. Canada argues it needs control to prevent disasters. The U.S. sees it as an international strait. U.S. warships navigate without Canada's permission. This is a point of contention. The dispute highlights broader Arctic challenges. Clear legal frameworks and strong diplomacy are needed. Defending the true North strong and free. Faced with these challenges, how is Canada defending its Arctic sovereignty? The answer is multifaceted. It involves a combination of diplomacy, military power, economic development, and a deep respect for the rights and traditions of the Inuit, the original inhabitants of the Arctic. Canada has been actively engaging in international forums to assert its Arctic sovereignty and to shape the rules governing the region. This includes working within the Arctic Council, a forum for cooperation among the 8 Arctic states. On the military front, Canada has been slowly but steadily increasing its Arctic capabilities. This includes acquiring new icebreakers, patrol aircraft, and Arctic patrol ships. Canada has also established a new Arctic Joint Operations Command to coordinate its military activities in the region. Beyond military might, Canada recognizes the importance of economic development in asserting sovereignty. Investing in infrastructure, such as ports, airports, and communication networks, is essential to supporting communities and promoting economic activity. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, Canada is working to strengthen its relationship with the Inuit, who have lived in the Arctic for millennia. Recognizing Inuit traditional knowledge and incorporating their perspectives into decision-making is crucial for the effective governance and protection of the Arctic. Challenges on thin ice. Despite these efforts, Canada faces significant challenges in defending its Arctic sovereignty. International pressure on Arctic resources and shipping routes is mounting. Canada's military capabilities, while improving, are still dwarfed by those of Russia and the United States. Climate change, ironically, poses one of the biggest threats. As the ice melts, it not only opens up the Arctic to increase traffic and resource extraction, but it also makes it more difficult and expensive for Canada to patrol and protect its vast Arctic territory. The lack of infrastructure in Canada's Arctic is another major challenge. Building roads, ports, and airstrips in this harsh and unforgiving environment is a daunting and expensive task. Without adequate infrastructure, Canada's ability to project power, support its communities, and respond to emergencies in the Arctic is severely hampered. Finally, there is the challenge of awareness. Many Canadians are unaware of the importance of the Arctic and the challenges facing the region. Building public support for increased investment in Arctic security, infrastructure, and sustainable development is crucial. Securing Canada's Arctic future. The future of Canada's Arctic is at a crossroads. The melting ice presents both challenges and opportunities. How Canada responds in the coming years will have profound implications for generations to come. First and foremost, Canada must continue to invest in its Arctic capabilities. This includes strengthening its military presence, expanding its icebreaker fleet, and enhancing its surveillance and response capabilities. But military might alone is not enough. Canada must also be a leader in Arctic diplomacy. This means working with other Arctic nations to develop a clear and enforceable set of rules governing the region. It also means engaging with non-Arctic states, such as China, to ensure that their activities in the Arctic are conducted responsibly and sustainably. Investing in education and research is paramount. Canadians need to be more aware of the Arctic, its importance, and the challenges it faces. Supporting Arctic research is crucial for understanding the impacts of climate change, protecting the fragile Arctic environment, and developing sustainable economic opportunities. Finally, Canada must continue to strengthen its partnership with the Inuit. Respecting Inuit rights, incorporating traditional knowledge, and ensuring that Inuit communities benefit from economic development are essential for the long-term sustainability and security of the Arctic. The Arctic, Canada's frontier, the world's future. The Arctic is no longer a distant and frozen backwater. It's a region of growing global importance, and Canada finds itself on the front lines of a new geopolitical competition. The challenges are significant, but so are the opportunities. The melting Arctic presents Canada with a choice. Will it rise to the challenge and become a leader in Arctic affairs, shaping the rules and securing its sovereignty? Or will it allow itself to be marginalized, watching as other nations carve up the Arctic and dictate its future? The North isn't just Canada's backyard. It's the front line of the future. The decisions Canada makes today will determine not only the fate of its Arctic region but also its place in the world. The time for action is now, before the ice melts further and the opportunity to shape the future of the Arctic slips away.